Hey guys, welcome to my channel. This is the third part of the Python series, and in this video we are going to dive into loops. But before that, let me show you something with lists. Now these things are a bit advanced, but it really does help in the long run. So the first thing that we're going to do is we are gonna make an array. So let's say it's an array. Okay, here we go. And let's say we okay, no. Now let's make a list. We will give it a name as let's make a list. We will name it A, and we will give it something like 2, 3, 4, and 5. Okay, so let's say you wanna iterate through this list, and you are very specific about what elements you're gonna iterate over. So to do that, we can specify the range for the list to iterate over. So we can do this by let me show you. Let's print A, and we are gonna iterate from 1 to the end, like from 1, that is the number 2, to the end, which is 5, and which is the fourth element, 1 being the 0th element. Okay, fourth element, we can specify that. And let's close this off. Okay, hit save. F5. Yeah, that's we iterated over the first 3 elements in the list. So we can do that. And let's say we have a few more elements, say 6, 7, and 8. So in this list we have a total of 8 elements, and every time we change the list, the ending element is going to be different. So the length of the list is going to be different. So let's say we wanna iterate over from the second element, that is the let's say we wanna iterate over the elements with the index of 0 to the end. So to want to say that to have it iterate over the element with the index of 1 till the end, we just have to leave it blank. So we are gonna iterate from index of 1 to blank. Blank signifies the end of the list. Let's save, hit F5. See, we are iterating to the end. Same way we can also iterate to the starting of the list, to an arbitrary nth index of the list. So let's say we want to iterate from the first element to an index of 5. So we will leave the first the number before the colon blank, and we're gonna have the number after the colon as the index of the element which we will iterate up to. So in this case 5. Let's hit save and run it. So it stops at the 5th element. Yeah, it stops at the 5th element. Now one thing to keep in mind is that is when we want to iterate up to a certain nth index, the index itself will count as an element. So that just means that, let's say, that means that the element 5 is at the index of 6. Sorry, it's at the index of 4. But okay. So one thing to keep in mind when we are doing this range manipulation in this list is that the index up to which we are going to iterate, it's not going to be counted itself. It itself is not going to be counted. So the 5th index of the list is 6, and it does not iterate up to 6. It iterates up to 5, which is the 4th index, which is in the 4th index of this list. So there goes that. We can also assign this to another list. So let's declare the list as blank. Now what we are gonna do is we can say here it will take the elements of A from the index 2, from the index of 2 till the index of 6, let's say 5, till the index of 5, and we're gonna save this. Here 5, sorry, it's 5. So let's print out the second index. Let's print out the second array. So let's print out the second list, and then we have this. So now what we can do is that we can take this element and we can slice the list effectively into another list. So we can make this as, let's say we have another B that equals to A, ranges from the 2nd index till the 6th, and then we can print B. Yeah, save F5. So yeah, the second list has the elements 3, 4, 5, 6, which are in the 2nd index, starts from the 2nd index. This is 0, this is ends. It starts from the 2nd index and ends at the 6th index. So let's get that out of the way. Now another small thing just I want to touch briefly on is that we have an extend function. So let's say we have two lists, and this is let's say 30. When we have two lists, we can extend a list with the respect to another with the extend function. So let's take a list. Let's say we are going to add the elements of A to the elements of B. So we can just simply write an function. So there is a function like the append function, which is called the extend function, and it can be accessed by this b dot extend, and we're gonna take parameter as A, which is an iterable. So this extend function takes a parameter as an iterable, and the elements of the iterable are added to the list upon which this is called up. So let's save 5. I'm sorry, let's print it out. we're gonna print b, save 5. So here you can see that we have the second list. The second list is extended by the elements of the first list, as we can see from here. Yeah, that's basically the extend function. So yeah, now let's get into lists. Now let's get into loops. Okay, the first loop I'm gonna show you is for loop. So the syntax is like this: for something in range of something. So for we need a variable, you can pass this if you don't need to access that variable. So we can, for underscore, for something, say blank, for underscore in, this is another function called the range function, and it starts and stops. It has a starting point and an ending point, and it iterates upon itself. So we can specify its range, say 1, we can just say 10 to have it run 10 times. So we're gonna give the colon, and then whenever we hit enter, we see that we have our cursor has come forward 4 spaces, which is called an indent. Now indents are very important in Python, which are actually absolutely not important in any other programming languages. Indentation is very important in Python, just keep that in mind. So if you accidentally erase that indentation, you can just hit tab and it will indent. So yeah. Okay, so for in range, for underscore in range of 10, we're gonna print out hey. So now what this loop will do is print out hey 10 times. Now this range function, as I explained earlier, is just an iteration of how many times this loop is gonna execute. This is the amount of times. The range function is just basically the amount of times that the loop is gonna execute. Yeah. And this is the for loop, where we have an condition. When the condition is met, we're gonna execute some statements. That's basically loop. Until that condition is not met. So whenever our range goes to 11, we exit out of the loop, and that's the basic deal with it. So let's hit save 5. See, I have printed out hey 10 times. Okay, so I printed out hey 10 times. Now this is basically how loops work. Now another thing, if you wanna specifically handle the incrementation, or the variable which increments in the range, you can define it as a variable, say I. So we can say for I in range, let's hit 10 again, colon, print I, and we are also going to print I. Okay, let's hit save and run. Now watch this. Now we have high. Now we have high written 10 times, and the range starts from 0. The range always starts from 0. If you do not define a starting point, it's gonna start from 0, and it's gonna end at 10 and not counting 10, that is at 9. The ending point is just -1, so it's just like a list. It starts from 0 and ends at an n-1 iteration. So let's get that out of the way, and there we have for loop. We also have while loop. while loop uh, at while loop you can now at while loop you have to set a condition for yourself, and then we can execute the statements like print hey. Now I have passed true as a condition or parameter in the while loop. Now what this is gonna do is run it indefinitely, infinitely, so it doesn't stop. If the condition is met, it will run, and the condition is true for always. It does not change. It runs true. So let's say F5. See, it runs infinitely. Just close this off. Yes. Another thing we can mention is that now these things might be a bit unclear to you right now, but it will get easier, trust me, as you progress, as you gain your knowledge, as you extend your knowledge in Python and in programming in general. So this is just basic stuff right there. Now let's touch a bit on control statements. Now control statements are basically the decision making body in your program. So let's have variable a, let's set it 10, and we can make a decision. If a is 10, we can print out it is 10, and yeah, we can print out it is 10. If a is 10, we can print out it is 10. So let's hit save and run it. See, it is 10. So what if it is not 10? What if it is anything else? So if we want to mention that, we can use the else keyword. Else, say print it is not 10. Let's hit save, let's run this, and a is 10, as you can see, so it's printing it is 10. But as soon as we change the value of a to 11, let's see it's not 10. It is not 10. So the statements you see under the indentation of if are the statements that will execute when the condition of if is met, and when the conditions of if is not met, the statements of else will execute. Yeah, it's very simple. We have another case, which is else if. Let's say we have 3 decisions, and you can indefinitely make many more decisions. You can have it make many more decisions. Let's see. Let's say we have 3 decisions. If a is 10, we will print out it is 10. But else if a is say 11, we can say it is 11. You can also use an else statement here, and if it is neither of those, that is else, we can just say, sorry, my bad, it is neither. So let's hit save, let's run this. It is 11, as you can see the value of a is 11. Let's close this off, let's make it 10, run this, it is 10. But when we give it a value other than 10 and 11, which is 12, when you run it, it will be neither, it is neither. 12 is not 10 nor 11. Now always remember that whenever you are checking for the values of a variable, you have to use this operator, double equal to operator. Okay, it is called equality operator or comparatively equal operator. So it checks if the variable is equal to a certain value. Now you can also check it with another variable, let's say b, let's set b to 10. Now we can say if a is comparatively equal to b, which is 10, so if a is 10, it will print out 10. If a is 11, it will print out 11, else it is neither. Save, yeah, it is neither. You can do that. You can check between two operators, and we also have other operators such as the greater than operator, the less than operator, and the greater than equal to, and the less than equal to operators. Now I'll show you what each of those does in a second now. So let's say if a is greater than b, we will say, sorry, a is greater. This is save. Okay, a is greater, and we can have another if. So if, let's say b is greater than a, we will have b is greater. Save 5. Okay, a is not greater. Yes, a is greater. So b is greater, so let's have its value changed to 14. Now b is greater, and it should say b is greater. Yep, it's saying b is greater. Yeah. Okay, we also have the greater than, equal to, and less than equal to. So we have the less than operator, say less than comparison operator, and let's its value to 0. So if let's say b is lesser than a, we will say a is greater. It's 5, a is greater, because b, which is 10, is less than a, which is 12. Okay, so we have less than equal to operator. Now this if statement just says that if b is lesser than or equal to a, then print a is greater. So let's say run, a is greater, and if we change the value of a to 10, now the value of a is equal to the value of b. So now it also satisfies the condition of if b is equal to a or if b is greater than a, which the second for which the condition satisfies for if b is equal to a. Let's do that. So a is, sorry, is greater or equal. Now if this if statement just says that if b is less than or equal to a, then print out a is greater or equal. So let's say 5, so it is greater or equal, which is the case, which is equal, this is equal, and it is not greater or equal, it is equal. We satisfy the condition of equality, so it's printing out, it's executing the statement. Okay, similarly we have greater than equal to a, which again if you do b, then b, say 5. Now b is greater or equal, b is of course greater by 2, the value of b is 12 and the value of a is 10. Now b is greater than 10, of course, so it's printing out b is greater than or equal. Now we can have two conditions at the same time in just one if statement. We can do that by using the logical OR. So if we write if a is greater than b or a is equal to b, then print a is greater or equal to b. And let's change the value of b to be 10. So now both are equal, so it should satisfy the equality condition. So it's if enter. Okay, so now a is greater than or equal to b. Oh, let's see, a to 12. I'll save that. Now a is greater than or equal to b. So left we also have AND operator. And so let's say if a is greater than b and a is equal to, let's say, equal to a certain number like 15, we will say a is greater than b and equal to 15. Save, and let's change the value of a to 15. Hit run. See, a is greater than b and equal to 15. The AND logical operator takes both the conditions and makes the if statement so that it has to satisfy both the conditions, which is a is greater than b and also is equal to 15. And whenever this is the case, it will print out this statement that a is greater than b and equal to 15.